Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How's it going?
Hello.
We made it. Finally,
Hello.
we're here. Man, it feels so good to be here with you guys. It took us a while to get here. Um, Mostly my fault, but hey, who's pointing
I
fingers,
don't know.
right?
I don't know. I don't think it would be your fault, but
Hello, governor. Wow, it's nice to see all of you guys here. Wow, names I haven't seen in a while.
hey,
Man,
yeah.
you guys are awesome. So, welcome. It's Don't Worry Wednesday. It's the show where we handle any issues, challenges, any stuff you might be going through in your life. Just feel free to post it in the chat or send us post it at bss.studio, or you can email us dww@bss.studio. Any of those avenues, and you can feel free to post anywhere that Princess is going to describe here for you. Yes, we are not professional therapists or counselors or policemen or attorneys or doctors or anything like that. We just want to be your friend and help you in any way we possibly can to get through whatever you're going through. We fully understand that you're probably smart enough to figure it out on your own. However, there are times when it just helps to have a fresh set of eyeballs looking at a situation and
Mhm.
just to give you a little bit of fresh perspective. So all we want to do is offer some love and encouragement, maybe a little bit of perspective along the way while you journey through whatever you might be going through. Our chat room hostess is Princess Yellow. Yay, Princess. She's awesome.
Yay.
Our producer is Jesse, who also is awesome.
Yay,
And
Jesse.
he,
Sorry.
yeah, Jesse, applesauce. Yes. And I'm Joe, and with me is always the man on the top shelf, the P of
That's
static.
that's what they usually say about me. They're like, "Oh, there's the man on the top shelf."
There's the man on the top shelf. That's
Yeah.
right.
I always am.
I like it when someone else takes the top shelf. They get dusty first.
Cool.
So
Yep.
anyway, yeah. So this is our show. How you doing, Ryan?
Great. How are you doing? Oh,
Man,
sorry. No, let me take that back. Dusty. How are you doing?
I'm glad that you're taking the dust.
Yeah. Well, someone's got to take it, and I'll make that sacrifice for you. That
Yeah.
way, you don't have to get all this dust on you.
Well, you got all that extra hair, it can
Mm-hmm.
collect it better, and then all
Yep.
you got to do is like go out and whip your hair back and forth.
With
You
my
know.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Like Will Smith's daughter.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember her name, unfortunately.
Me neither.
Yeah, but it's his. It's his daughter. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's Wednesday, and we're here to talk about what ails you, and we've got some stuff in the queue here.
Yeah.
Let's see, we've got stuff from Random, Hyrule, Ichiraku Jack, Sumner Kagan, John Doe, Jehotzfitz, Sparrow, and Val, who I believe is also Cherry. Um, and yeah, so any of you guys that I just named, if you heard your name, feel free to raise your hand
Yeah.
or say, "Hey, that's me. You said my name." Or, "Yeah, please do mine." Um,
Mm-hmm.
Jack, Jack, is it Mabel or I'm sorry,
I think it's Maple.
Mabel. I will totally
That's
mispronounce.
my best guess. Now, if we butcher it, oh well.
Yes,
Like,
I will mispronounce anybody's name possible. So,
yeah. If you don't
Jack, are
like it,
you?
then you get on the show and then say it yourself.
Oh, he isn't coming. I'm just waving. Nice. Okay. All right. Cool. Because there is a Jack in here, but it's Ichiraku Jack.
Yeah,
I
each
was
rock
I
Jack.
was like, oh, is that we have more than one Jack? Mabel. Thank you. Yay, we were right, man.
Yep. Awesome. We got it.
Look at that. That was awesome.
I feel
So
accomplished. All right, that was all I was looking for this stream. All right, let's shut it down. We'll get us something right. I mean, that's
no. You can't shut it
day
down.
a day has been made. Oh
You
yeah.
you are simply the person collecting the dust today.
Mm-mm.
I am the
All
host of
right,
the
I can
show.
do that. I'm the
Jesse's the
trophy on the
producer.
top shelf, just collecting
Nothing
dust.
really happens without Jesse saying so.
That's true.
Just so as you know, like it's just kind of how it works.
Jesse is the originator of all knowledge, right?
I think so.
And accessories.
And accessories.
Jesse is the
Yes.
originator of all knowledge and accessories.
And
I believe
accessories.
that's what Jeff said. So Jeff
Yeah.
doesn't lie. It's true.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And actually, Jesse doesn't even have to say so. He can just hit a button.
Yeah, he can just shut us
and
off.
Everything goes away.
Everything?
Everything
Holy
goes
cow.
away. He has his finger on the button.
Oh wow.
The button.
That's an intense button.
Man, I admire the responsibility he has taken. Yes. It's literally everything.
Wow.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, what color is it? Is it red? Or is it like cyan? Or some other random color? Cerulean? It's cerulean, isn't it?
I don't think he's going to tell us.
Yeah.
Oh, it's RGB.
It's red, green, and blue?
Nice.
Nice. It's like a rainbow button. It just makes everything stop existing. Well then.
Wow. Nice.
RGBiv. Nice. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, I do know.
We have our topics.
I did see Sparrow is here, and
oh sweet, yeah.
And also Cherry is here.
Okay.
So we do have two people here. I think. Well, if Sparrow's still here, yeah. Okay. Green, blue. Yeah, he just there. You go. Perfect. So we'll start with Sparrows because that one came first, and then we will move to Cherry, who goes by Val in this one. So.
Cool.
All right. So feel free to click the link in the chat. That is for Sparrow's topic, and it's called Darkness. And let's see. It's a fairly short one. So it goes like this. Sparrow is here. I don't feel good about myself. It's not emotions, but it feels much darker. Sparrow is gone. And that's it. And wow, Sparrow, I'm sorry that you feel that way. I know that I've been in deep pits of despair before. I've been just kind of feeling meh before. And there have been times when things have just been so hard that I don't even know what to do. And just I've laid there. Actually, recently I had an experience where I just kind of laid there and felt my guts just wrench because there was an experience happening that was just so difficult and hard and challenged who I was as a person and everything. But yeah, so I definitely know how you might feel. And if you want to elaborate in the chat on anything, feel free to do that. And if you have anything specific you'd like us to talk about with it, feel free to, just post whatever. And man, but I understand it can be totally difficult, but I will hand it off to Ryan, and because I'll tell you, just hearing Ryan's voice makes my day brighter. Always.
Well, that's very sweet of you.
In fact, that means probably Ryan's gonna start screening my calls. I had this prediction because now that I mentioned that and I think about it, I'm gonna start calling Ryan like on a daily, hourly basis.
I'd like that.
Hold on. It's time. I need to call Ryan.
Okay, go ahead. 24/7, 365. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Well, Sparrow, yeah, this is I think this is something that a lot of us have experienced before. There are many times where something happens or something doesn't happen and we just don't like ourselves. We don't feel good about ourselves. We don't feel good about who we are. I think there's a couple of different things I want to say about that. The first one is I think it's important to remember that you're human, right? You make mistakes, you do things wrong. Sometimes you do things wrong on purpose and you know it's dumb. And then you're like, man, I'm going to hate myself for doing this. And you do it and you hate yourself. Like, why? Okay. Yeah, that's stupid, right? And then now it's even more stupid because you know it's stupid and you did it, right? You're human. Okay. Um, just like the rest of us. And so it's important to remember this. You're human, right? But that's also an amazing thing because even though you were made human and humans are sometimes pretty dumb, humans are also the smartest thing on this earth.
Mm.
Humans are really the sole thing that has like the idea like to actually contemplate and reflect on things and then come to the conclusion that they don't like themselves because of their poor actions or thoughts or whatever. It's kind of weird, but humans are blessed with that feature because it's also what makes us capable of doing incredible and great things. Um, you know, we aren't perfect. And I think it's important to remember we weren't designed to be perfect.
Mm.
If we were designed to be perfect, we would simply be perfect because that would be in our design. Instead, we aren't designed perfect. And I think that that's a good thing. Um, because while perfection is something we should strive for in a sense, not necessarily expect it or be mad at ourselves when we don't hit it, but acknowledging what perfection is and aiming for it, I think is important. But I think it's also important to know, we weren't designed to be perfect, but we were designed imperfect, and that's good enough. And I think that's similar to the concept of suffering and love. When you love something, you're willing to go through whatever sacrifice, whatever pain it takes to show that love, right? And when you encounter somebody who's just does the wrong things like all the time, and you still love them, I think that's a beautiful thing. And that's kind of our relationship, at least in my eyes, with our God. God knows that we're not perfect. He designed us, and He said, you're not perfect. And that's still good enough. You were designed good. You weren't designed perfect. In the Christian Bible, and I think probably in the Quran as well. I don't know. When you were designed, you were made good. That's how you were made. You were made good, and that's good enough, right? Um, and I think that's cool. Um, and we are gifts. Our everything we get to do on the earth is a gift. You have gifts that are special to you and special traits about who you are. So none of that should you should never look at yourself and say, "Wow, I'm awful. I'm not good enough," or "Other people are better," or whatever, because you are simply who you are, and that's a gift. You can only give what you have. You're not supposed to have everything right, but you can have things that make you you, and then add that to the world around you because you're an important part of it, the environment. You're an important part of the way the world plays out. And I think that's cool too. So um, it's important to understand that you're important. You are important beyond anybody's words. If anybody, like you said, if anybody makes fun of you, that doesn't devalue you. That doesn't change you. That doesn't, like, they might point out something that's true, right? And it can hurt,
Mhm.
but it doesn't mean anything more than just words, right? Because it was true before they said it. And now they know, so now you feel bad maybe because of like it could be pride, right? You don't want other people to know, but now people know, and it could be something like that, right? It could be that you just don't want to look bad in other people's eyes, which is normal. We generally speaking, we don't want to. But you know what? Their words don't change who you are. They don't make you a worse person. They just point out whatever flaws they saw in you, which is backwards. Because if someone points out a flaw, right, it means they're focused on the bad. They're focused on the unfortunate and sad reality, right? What good is there in that? There can be some good in that. It could force somebody to change and become better and grow in that area. So there can be good in that. But other than that, there's not much. Um, if you can be the kind of person that looks for the good in people, then you start to be able to see the good in yourself a lot easier as well. And if you look for the good in other people, that's the kind of people the world needs more of. You know, if someone points out other people's flaws or says things to attack them, then we don't need more of that, right? That's not helping anybody in the world.
Mhm.
Like, that's not making the world, generally speaking, a better place.
Right.
Um, so if they point out a flaw in somebody else, they're pointing out their own flaw by saying
Mm.
those things, right? And the proper response to that is not to be mad at them, even though it feels like we should be. And it's not necessarily evil or wrong to be mad at them for acting that way. But I think the proper response to that is pity. You can look at them and say, that's sad that you would focus on that so much you feel like you need to speak up about it, or that you think of yourself in such a way that you feel like you need to put me down so you can lift yourself up. Because a lot of times what people are doing is they don't like themselves, so they make fun of other people so they can feel good about themselves, which is
Mhm.
really backwards because then it's just a cycle of hating themselves more for doing that.
Right.
um, so yeah, it's a really interesting thing, but I think it's important ultimately to know that you're important beyond anybody's words, beyond um, any feeling you have, anything that you think of yourself. Your value doesn't change based on how you perceive yourself, and your value is infinite. Um, if you look at a taco, right, and say, like, or we'll give a better example. You look at a wrench, right? You look at a wrench. The wrench does its job. It has a certain value, and its value is based on what jobs it can do, right? That's not like people. People aren't like that. We don't base the value of a person off of what they can perform or what they can do, or how hardy they are, or if they can take some damage or not. Things like that. Um, all of those things you consider when buying tools, though. If you look at a wrench and you say, you know, um, I'm not going to use that wrench because right now I'm hungry, um, and I don't want to eat it. It's like, okay, well, it doesn't change the value of the wrench that you said that. It's just some obscure thing. Like, that doesn't even, yes, of course, a wrench isn't food. It is not designed to be food. You know, doesn't mean that the wrench is less capable of doing its job. Or you buy a wrench and you're like trying to put it on oh geez, what are they? A nut, and it doesn't fit. And you're like, what? Oh man, I bought the wrong wrench size, right? Doesn't mean the wrench is any less valuable. It's still good for the job it was made for.
Mhm.
It just doesn't perform the job you were looking for, right? And so similarly, if someone says you're not good at something or makes fun of you, it doesn't change who you are. It doesn't change your value. You're still you, and you're still great. You're still very good. Even if you got some bad sides to you, you're still good, right? So, anyways, I've talked for a while now. I'm going to move it over to Joe and let him have his time to share his wisdom with you.
Well, I just love what Ryan was saying, and I would go back and listen to that again because it's so important to remember and to be reminded that we are valuable, and
Taco analogy.
that the, no matter what we're here to do, that's we're here to do that, and not necessarily everything. We might be here for a specific purpose. In fact, I believe we all are. And part of life, part of the adventure of life is figuring that out. We don't know. We just kind of we're given these, this life, and it's like, wow, what do I do here? And you start to uncover talents, and you start to uncover ways of thinking, and all that, that kind of makes up who you are. And and it's kind of like an archaeology project where you're just kind of digging and sifting and digging and sifting, and finally you uncover a little bit, and that's just one small part of who you are. And then even more digging and sifting and digging and sifting, and then you come up with a little bit more, and you discover something about yourself that, oh my gosh, like, I'm a musician. Oh, that's great. But that's not only what you are. That's just part of what you are. We are so wonderfully complex, and that we have, so many different attributes that make us up. I mean, it's just incredible.
Hmm.
And we share this universe with other beings that are like that. They're not just like us. I mean, because you look at the different combinations, there are infinite number of combinations of, personality and talent and all that stuff.
Right. And then also the paths they take in life, and that's infinite on top of
Yep.
that, you know?
Because you make a choice. Like, I mean, you make a certain choice to do a certain thing, and that takes you down a path that then develops talent even further, or uncovers other things about you.
Hmm.
And some of that's based on choice. And it's amazing. And we're all like that. We're all trying to figure it out. I love, there's a quote I heard one time that said, nothing is more deeply seated than the ignorance of the experts.
Hmm.
Because that tells me, when somebody tries to proclaim that they have it all figured out, boy, are they about to get hit over the head with some reality. Like, at least that's the way it's happened for me. I mean, you want an example of that, just look at nutritional science, how that's changed over the last half a century. you know Part of that is just kind of how what I had focused on for a while, and I started to learn, wait a minute, what they used to teach about nutrition and exercise in the 1950s was so backwards compared to what they teach today
Hmm.
about nutrition and fitness and exercise and all that. It's like, what? I mean, they used to say that anybody over 40 should not exercise.
Who said that?
Doctors, the experts,
Wow.
said
Also,
what?
Kyle is the reason that you get hit over the head. Um,
Oh, your
Whenever you
brother?
think you know something.
Yeah.
Like whenever
He's
you
good
think
at
you're the
that.
expert, Kyle will figure out that
He
you're not.
will. He will.
Hmm.
He will let you know that you're not the expert. That's
If you have
true.
any habits, he will make you abandon them for a better way.
Yeah, that's true.
Hmm. He's pretty awesome.
Yeah. But at any rate, so once we think we have it figured out, what's the point of all this, right? I mean, it's just to show that we're all the same. We're all trying to figure it out. That person who said some things that were negative about you, they're trying to figure things out just as much as you are.
Hmm.
But pride comes in when we think we have it all figured out, and it's like, oh, now I know everything. Now we can all we Jesse's about the only exception to that, because he's the originator of all knowledge, right?
Yeah, yeah, and accessories.
And accessories.
Mhm.
So, but everybody else in the world, right? Um, I'll tell you one thing that you have a great opportunity for here, Sparrow. I noticed what you said in the chat, that you feel this way because there were some people saying some things about you that kind of hurt, and maybe they were true, and that can be hurtful. But you have a chance to create something beautiful here, and you would do that with forgiveness,
Mhm.
because that's you've heard it said on here before. Probably everybody who's been here has heard us say something about forgiveness and how it heals and how it helps you to grow. and how in the midst of this pain, if you learn to forgive, you acknowledge the fact that there's an injustice here. Something was done that was wrong toward you, and it was hurtful. And while you acknowledge that, you still say, I forgive you. You don't have to say it to their face, but just in your heart, you say, I forgive that person. And you really mean it. And you work through that emotion. The healing and the growth that comes from that is so unbelievable. I mean, I had no idea this power until a few years ago. When I went through a program, I actually had this program encouraged to me by a priest, and he said, you should take a look at this program. And so I did, and I went through it, and it was all about healing and all about, and the main thing in there was forgiveness of other people, forgiveness of self, and there was there were exercises in there that took you back to key moments in your life when you were hurt by other people. And the task for you to do was to go back and relive those experiences, relive the hurt, remember what it felt like, and feel the pain again. And in that moment, remember what you did in that moment, and then go to that moment and forgive the offense. Forgive the person and the offense. And then in this particular program, also pray that God forgives this person. You acknowledge that it was wrong, that it was an injustice, and then you forgive anyway. And the release and healing and just the joy that came from that experience was so amazingly beautiful. It's tough for me to put it into words. And so right now, while the wound is fresh and while it hurts, if you can forgive and you can go through that process of saying, okay, I forgive you. If you're a praying person, you can pray and ask God to forgive them as well. Go through that and you will experience a joy and a healing that's just profound. It's incredible. And then always remember what Ryan was talking about, that no matter what issues any of us might have, we're still infinitely valuable. Just because we're not good in a certain area, or just because we don't have it all together in a certain area, doesn't mean we don't have it all together in other areas. It doesn't mean we don't have, abilities in other areas that are going to, way overshadow those weaknesses that we may have. And no matter what you're good at doing, as Ryan was saying, always remember you are a human being. You're not a human doing. And your value comes from the fact that you exist, the fact that you are, not the fact that you do. And always remember that here, we're going to love you. We're going to accept you no matter what. I don't think there's ever been anything on here where somebody has said something or posted something and we were just like, oh, well, you're a bad person or something like that. No, because we understand we're all just trying to figure things out. The only reason, Ryan and I are qualified to do this, we're not professional therapists or anything. The only thing that even makes me think that maybe I'd be qualified to do a show like this is that I have messed up so many things and experienced so much failure and so many times of brokenness that I might actually have that experience to then also be able to impart something of some things that I went through, and also to understand, because I've broken so many things and I've been broken so many times. I am not ever appalled by the brokenness of another person. I can't ever look at somebody like that
Mhm.
because I've been there. It's okay. And Sparrow, this is something you're going through. And man, it's a tough thing, but you can get through and you can heal and you can grow and you can look back on this as a turning point and you can be like, wow, there were some things I figured out in that moment that propelled me to to greater heights than I ever would have achieved without it. That's another beautiful thing about our hardships is they propel us on to greatness beyond what we could have done without them. So I hope some of that's encouraging to you, Sparrow. And I'm going to turn it back over to Ryan because I'm sure. I mean, I look at him over there, and he's. I can tell his brain's like whirring with potential.
Whirling. Thanks. Yeah, you got it right. No, um, yeah. Honestly, I just kind of want to add to Joe's last point. You know, if you ever play a video game and then you like fight a boss, the boss is like harder, of course. And then like, the more difficult the challenge, the more experience points you get, and then you can, become stronger. And that's a lot of what happens in life. Whenever you come up against, a powerful foe, it's not that you have to slay them, but when you forgive, right? Like Joe was talking about, when you forgive, what you end up doing is you slay something inside of you. You slay something that's holding you back. Because when you have a grudge or when you are upset about something, that eats away at you, right? And when you slay that through forgiveness, you become stronger. And it's not
Mhm.
like, okay, now I'm back to where I was before that happened. No, it's you never back where you just were because now something bad has happened to you and you choose to go through it and then move beyond it. What you end up doing is building up experience for yourself. You build up strength in yourself, courage
Mhm.
in yourself, reason to be proud of yourself, confidence in yourself, all sorts of different things, right? And so when we go through these problems or when someone, says something, makes fun of us, and then we take a moment to move beyond that. And I think one of the things that holds us back the most is pride. If we can just
Mm.
let our pride go and say, you know what? Yeah, I'm not perfect. Yeah. You made fun of me where yeah, it hurts, but and it's true or whatever, or maybe it's not true. It doesn't matter either way. You don't like people thinking about you like that, right? No one does. But when we can just kind of get over ourselves and be like, you know what? It's whatever. Like who cares? Why should I care? I'm going to just be the best me I can be. And it doesn't matter what other people think because all I can do is be me. Um, and if they're right, like never mind. Anyways, yeah. So you can just go through that, forgive, and I'll tell you, kind of Joe was talking about this. He said it's just a beautiful experience. It's something once you do it, you come away with a sense of peace that you didn't have before. Because when you go through like this kind of trial and somebody makes fun of you and then you forgive them and you let go and you allow people to think low of you because they're just going to do that and doesn't change who you are and you recognize your value and you just say people are going to think low of me and that's okay, that's I can't change that, that's just how it is, and then you can move on and then you'll have a sense of peace. And the peace is knowing, generally peace is knowing you're in the right place at the right time.
Mm.
Peace is when you are satisfied with how things are, and satisfaction with how things are is a lot of times how we decide we want to feel, how we want to perceive it, how we want to
Mm.
look at reality and judge it. A lot of times when we're not at peace, it's because we want something. We want it to be different. We want things to be better. We want things to change. But I think coming to a point where you're like, you know what? Things don't need to be better. and things are still going to be great. And then you'll be at peace. And I think that requires going through hardships. It requires people looking down on you so that you can be humbled and then realize, you know what? I do have my problems. And so I can't put myself above anybody else. And I can't put anybody else necessarily above me either, because we're all the same in here. We're all humans. We're all the same value.
Mhm.
And I can't look at someone and be like, wow, I wish I was as good as them, because I'm just not them. I'm not supposed to be. And I can't look at someone who's like, wow, what a terrible person, because I know I'm terrible too at times. So it allows us to kind of go, just accept reality when we're faced with reality like that and it hurts. And then we forgive and we just say, I accept that. That's just how it is. And that's okay. I like that. If we can come to that point where it's like, I like that about reality because it's made me who I am. It's made me a stronger person. That's amazing. Then we come face to face with reality and accept it. Then you have peace, because peace, again, is accepting reality, is being okay with how things are. Being like, hey, I'm in the right place at the right time because I know this is how reality is and I'm right in place with that. I'm right in line with it. And that's fine. And that helps the peace. Oh my gosh. That helps you make clear decisions like all across the board. Because now when everything comes up, nothing holds you back,
Mhm.
right? Nothing inside holds you back. Because that's a lot of times what holds us back is whatever's inside of us. Fear, worry, distrust, being inconfident, all sorts of different stuff holds us back.
Mhm.
Pride, worried about what other people think of us. We can just let that go and be like, you know what? I just got to do the right thing. I'll go ahead and do it.
Mhm.
And then we can be proud of ourselves. And when we're proud of ourselves, of course, we don't ever feel bad about ourselves when we're proud about ourselves, right? You just do what you want to, you just do what you got to do. And yeah, peace just makes everything look easier to deal with. And it's great. So, anyways, Sparrow, I hope something in that helps. But
Sparrow,
yeah,
Sparrow just said something. Forgiving is hard when it's repetition. I agree. So apparently this happens again and again and again, from what I'm
mhm,
gathering here. That yes, it is so difficult to continually forgive and to continually do that. Um, One thing that'll happen though, because I can remember going through something similar when, I had somebody that was just always treating me this certain way, and it was again and again and again and again. And it was so hard for a long, long time, years. But I do remember getting to the point where it just kind of, after a while, it's like, okay, I know what to expect. It's going to be like this. This person's going to be like this. And they're going to say something like this, or they're going to treat me like this. And I'm just going to whatever. And it's going to be the way it is. And I remember one day it happened and I just kind of snickered because I was just like, okay, here we go again. Like, here it is, like, oh, well, just as expected. And the it's funny because I actually did it in their presence, and it caught them so off guard. They're like, "What?" Because I just kind of laughed. I was like, "Pff," and I shook my head, and I was like, "Okay," you know. That's what you finally kind of get to, and you will feel like what Ryan was talking about in his first bit, where he was talking about um uh oh, what are you talking about? Where
tacos.
you pity them, where you're
Yeah, you
just
pity them.
like, "Oh my gosh, you're in such a spot. I'm so sorry you're in that spot." Like, because for you to be like that, something's going on for you. And you just kind of shift eventually
Yeah.
when something goes on long enough. You don't have to have a big blowout with them. You don't have to fight them. You don't have to confront them. There doesn't have to be any of that. But eventually what's going to happen in your mind is you're going to shift a little bit. And I think it takes going through it for a while. And then finally it's just kind of like, well, here it is again. Right on cue. Well, what time is it? Oh, time for that. Okay. Yep. And
Mhm.
then and eventually you'll just smile, you'll shake your head, you'll kind of snicker, and you'll walk away, and you'll feel bad for them, and you'll just be like, yeah, I wish the world was treating them better because they have a problem going on, and it's literally true. So
Mhm.
it is hard. I agree. And for those years before I got to that point with this person, where it was just hard and it was painful, and uh, if I had learned to forgive sooner and to continually forgive, I think I would have gotten through it a lot faster and gotten to that point a lot faster. But I had to learn something in there. And maybe that's what's going on here too. Maybe there's something you need to learn through this experience. I heard a wise man say one time, the lesson continues until the lesson is learned. Like lessons in our life, and they're repeated until we learn them. And so maybe there's a lesson disguised in this person's ridicule. Maybe there's a lesson for you to learn somewhere. And so maybe that might be something to try and search out, you know?
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I've
once
been
you
in that.
figure it out, then whoa,
Yeah.
you move on to a bigger challenge. Like, unfortunately, sometimes that's how it
Yeah.
goes.
Sometimes.
But
Yeah, I've been in that spot before too. When someone is just not kind, they're always mean. They always, try to just find ways to make fun of you. And I remember it hurting at first, and then I remember just getting used to it and being not like used to it in a bad way, but used to it. It's like I expected them to do it, and then I no longer cared.
mhm,
Um, because it was just like when they would do it, I would just feel bad for them because I'm like, they're in that spot. That's just the spot they're in their life, and that
mhm,
sucks. I wish I could fix that. And you know what? I stuck around that person because I wanted them to have a better example. I wanted them to see somebody who didn't act that way, who didn't respond to their unkind words with unkind words. Because a
mhm.
lot of times when someone insults us, I know in my youth, oh man, I got into so many battles with people, verbal battles, just it's like constantly every day.
Like
People
rap
making fun
battles.
of me and me making fun of them. No, we weren't that cool. Uh, no, but yeah, I mean, um, when you stop worrying about whether I don't know. I guess did you just come to a point where after you forgive him for a few times, uh, or maybe like 200 times, you start to just like kind of allow it to just be that way and say, I hope that eventually I'll rub off on him. Hopefully that they'll learn to stop doing that because it's really unhealthy for them. Um, how do I make better friends with them? And a lot of times when someone insults me, my initial objective is how do I make better friends with this person? And that seems weird because it's like, why do you want to make friends with a person who's a bully? And the answer is because I don't want them to be a bully. So when someone makes fun of me, I'm like, okay. That's unfortunate. Let's see if I can be their friend. Let's see if I can make good on their side and them see me as a friend so that we can start to get along better and then I can, help them see the error of their ways to some degree, right?
Mhm,
Um, that's just kind of how I see it. And I don't worry about whether it's about me because here's the thing. You listen to other people complain or make fun of other people and it doesn't hurt, does it? A lot of times it doesn't. A lot of people will hear someone else like, "Did you see that guy over there? He smells
mhm,
whatever," right? And then you don't get hurt by that. You're like, "Okay. Yeah, that guy does smell. Smells like a rotten egg."
mhm,
That's not very nice, right? That's terrible. But why don't you feel as bad as when they said it about you?
mm,
So now switch that around and say, why do I have to feel bad when it's said about me? Because you don't have to.
mhm,
You don't have to feel bad when it's said about you. You just do. You just do because that's how it's always been. That's how you never thought about it. I think that's the way it was for me. For many years, I just never thought about that. One year I was told, hey, if you're being offended, you can choose not to be. And I was like, what? What are you talking about?
That's so weird.
Taking offense is a choice? What? And I'm like, that's okay. So if someone insults me, I don't have to be offended. I don't have to be mad at them for saying it about me. I can choose. Okay, well, let's try it. And so then, it took a few tries, but eventually I got the hang of it. Why is it? Why is that our emotional response? Or why is that our response when someone is mean to us that we would be mad? That's just, it's odd. That's just the response. Well, it's kind of inappropriate sometimes. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's inappropriate. But anyhow, yeah. So it's good to think about those things when those things happen and just be like, I don't have to be mad. But anyways, Sparrow, I'll let you get going. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for the topic, and yeah, grab some stuff in there and listen to it again. And yeah, hopefully some of that can be helpful for you. But at any rate, I wish you the best, and hope that this whole situation can heal for you. So, all right, thanks again. We'll see you the next time you come back. So, thanks, Sparrow. You're the best. So awesome. Well, wow, that was good.
I'm not very good at insults anymore, Psycho. I'm sorry. I haven't said an insult that I remember in so long.
I love what Cherry said. Cherry said, I hate when people talk about others like that, because I think, well, how do I know they don't talk about me behind my back?
Yeah, right.
And that's, I think subconsciously we all kind of think that.
Yeah.
And we all kind of like, but
yeah, I'm the guy that immediately stands up for everybody, especially if they're not there to stand up for themselves. I'm like, you just said what?
Ryan is. He is totally.
Yeah.
And he doesn't care who you are. He doesn't care what level of whatever you might be perceived at. Like you might be some kind of super influential person, and he'll still call you out on the carpet for it. He'll be like,
the only time I call people out.
So why would you say something like that?
Yeah. Hey, that seems evil. You terrible person. I was kidding. You sinner. No. Okay. Anyways.
Well, so anyway. Nice. Well, we can move on. What do you think?
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you so much, Sparrow. You're awesome. And yeah, remember, you're super valuable and you are loved. We care about you a ton here. Thanks for joining us. It's always wonderful to see you here, see your messages, and get to have a conversation with you. You're amazing, dude. Don't sweat it. You're amazing. I think you're awesome. I'm super proud of you. You don't even know. You probably don't even believe me, but I'm telling you the truth. I am very proud of you, and I love seeing you on here. You always have such great things to say and ask.
Yes.
So,
yes,
thanks.
Truly, Marhandi. If you're complimenting people behind their backs, continue. Do that. Do more of it. Actually,
brilliant.
Yes. It's beautiful. That is a beautiful thing, to build people up behind their backs, and interestingly enough, to build someone up while they're standing there. Like, if Ryan's standing next to me and I'm telling another person about how Ryan is awesome, that also.
That's an awesome practice.
Yep.
Because it just does so much. It does so much for both people.
Both. Yep. For everybody there. It is so helpful to build people up, especially, so if you just make that a habit of building people up no matter what, whether they're around or not, man, you are spreading goodness into the world. And it's a beautiful thing. So definitely do that. So anyway, now we have next we have Cherry, who is going by Val.
Hey.
Oh, that is good. Saigo. My way of dealing with insults to me or others is to downplay it as something irrelevant because deep down it is. Yeah,
Hmm.
we're all on a journey here. So you got something wrong with you. So does everybody. You
Yeah.
know?
I like what Cherry said too. I'm just like, I don't know, man. I just want everyone to get along. That's seriously like, yeah. I've been in that position where I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know that about like someone that's, they say something bad. I used to be there for a while. Now I
Mhm.
just like, I just tell the person to pull over. This is the police. Um, no, but yeah, no, I'm totally the same way, Cherry. I get it. Don't want anybody to be upset. Just like everybody has to get along. That's the best.
Yeah.
Don't want to cause any rifts. So,
Well,
anyways,
you're in a
go
great
for it.
place for that. We all get along here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, this is from Cherry, who goes by Val. And this Cherry, you change your names. So, and you always have the greatest names. I've said that before, but it's true. I wish I could come up with names like you do.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this is called Pursuit, and it goes like this. I am unsure of what I want to be again. Not because I'm passionate about, or not because I'm not passionate about what I love, but rather because almost everyone in my entire school and grade says they want to do the same thing. So when I say I want to pursue the same thing, it makes me feel like just another one of them. But I don't want to be. So do I pursue something else because the thing I love is too common? Or do I continue being just another drop in the ocean?
Hmm.
Hmm. That's a very good question, and I like where the conflict is coming from. It's from it's from coming from a desire to be different and to stand out and to not follow the crowd. You know that's a unique attribute. A lot of people just end up following the crowd,
Hmm.
and that's kind of just how it goes sometimes. But for you to be thinking in terms of I don't want to follow the crowd. That's a good thing to be pondering. Um, but yeah, so Ryan, what do you got to start us off here?
Sure. Cherry, one thing that will immediately set you apart from everybody else that wants to do the same thing. Because let me tell you, there's a lot of people who want to do music out there.
Mhm.
Um, lots of people. In fact, I run across people who have zero musical talent, and they're like, "Man, I wish I was like a musician. I wish I would have like done that with my life." And I'm like, you don't even play anything." Okay, listen, Cherry. The thing that'll set you apart from pretty much 95% of those people who want to do that thing is to actually just do it.
Mm,
Because
mhm,
here's the thing: most of them aren't going to do it. They're going to find a different path to take in life,
mhm,
and that's sad, but it's the truth. Um, it's just how it is. Um, for me to be a musician, I took a path that contradicted the norm,
mhm,
right? In many, many ways. I had to make that leap of faith just to put everything in one basket and go, I'm going to do this. Um, and figure it out along the way. Set my heart on something and say, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I haven't a clue, but I'm just going to start with doing what I know. And that was writing music. Just started writing music. I dropped out of college to write music. For who? No one. But I said, that's what I'm going to do because I don't want to waste my time in college where they're not teaching me anything about making my life as a musician. Because they can't teach me anything about that there. Now, college, again, it's a great thing. It's a great
mhm.
place. And you should go there if they have something to teach you. But
Yes.
in my case, they didn't. So I said, well, okay, I'm gonna change that route. Against my mom's will. My mom wanted me to go to college. She wanted me to get good grades and get a good job. And it makes sense because she wanted me to have a good income and have a healthy lifestyle and all that. And it's all good. I get it. And she could have been right. I could have taken that road. But I set my desires. I said, you know what, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it. And that made all the difference because instead of being, another drop in the ocean, um, I got to find my uniqueness as a musician along the way. Now, there's plenty of musicians out there, plenty of incredible musicians who I would say are better than me at piano, better than me at singing, better than me at writing music. But I'm still unique. I'm still doing things that no one else did. Even if my dream job was to work at a factory making the same doll that everybody else was making in that factory, I would still be doing something, adding something to the world, right? Because I'm me, because I'm actively doing something that no one else is doing. Yes, they're doing similar things, they're making the same kind of doll, but only I can do what I can do. Um, because only I am me. So only I'm the one who sewed that shirt on that doll or whatever it is, right? Now the people can sew, sure. But that shirt on that doll, that one's mine. And that's unique because I've added something to the world through my own hands. Those are cute. Ah, yeah, just like you. So when we're worried about falling in line with everybody else, I think it's a great worry, just like Joe said. If you want to be something phenomenal, right? If you want to stand out, if you want to do something great, a lot of times you have to go against the grain
Mhm.
of society. And the reason for that is obvious. If you want to be known as something great and unique, then you can't do what everybody else is doing. That's obvious, right? So you have to do something that's different. Mainly, the thing that's different is making those sacrifices to say, you know what? I don't care what it takes. I'm going to do this. Because a lot of people aren't willing to make sacrifices. A lot of people are too worried about pain, too worried about security, too worried about messing up, too worried about all sorts of different stuff. And they don't like the feeling of pain. They don't like the feeling of going through hard times. And a lot of that is because they don't have the experience of doing that. So they are so afraid of it, they never do anything about it. And they go through life and they never accomplish what they said they wanted to in high school. They never accomplish their dreams, and they start to think, "Oh, dreams are silly. Dreams, no one actually ever gets them except for the lucky, and they're lucky. It's not like they actually chased them. They just kind of woke up one night, overnight success, basically. And they didn't have to try. And if they did, it wouldn't change anything. They just got lucky. So that's not reality. There aren't very many people out there who are just lucky. There are people who are born into success, yes. And there are people who are born prodigies. But as I mentioned before, prodigies aren't the ones who usually become famous, doing incredible, great things. Like, you don't often see, like, look at this 3-year-old violinist who can play Mozart, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, that's insane. And then, like, you never hear about her again. 20 years later, you're like, what happened to her? Where'd she go? What? She could have done great things. What happened? That's just how it is, right? You really set yourself off. You really set yourself apart by the sacrifice you're willing to make. Because the more you're willing to try, the more you're willing to commit, the more you're going to say, like, I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to finish. You've already set like, if you actually finish, now you're only in the 5 percentile of all people. Because most people don't finish what they start when it comes to difficult things, when it comes to, like, like, this is my dream job, or this is what I want to do. This is the big change I want to make in the world. So that's my opening statement ultimately, is just, if you want to do something it seems like everybody else wants to do also, but you also want to set yourself apart, you can do that just by actually doing it,
Mhm.
because a lot of times people aren't going to. Other people might think it's a cool job. It might be their passion too, but only a few ever actually end up doing it. And it's not because only a few are capable. And it's not because only a few are lucky. It's because only a few are willing to make that sacrifice, willing to say, I'm going to commit to this no matter what it takes.
Hmm.
And usually that's because of the life they had up until that point. It's usually because of something that either hurt them and changed them to help them grow, to become strong people, to go, you know what? I've been hurt before. I don't care. I've fallen on hard times. I don't care. I'm going to commit to this. I said I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Or the other reason that people do it is because they are deeply, deeply inspired, to the point where nothing can stop them. And that's not a whole lot of people. That's even fewer. It's even fewer people. That's like 0.5% of people. Because it's hard to be that inspired. Some people have it, but I'm not one of those people. So there are certain things in life that inspire me, but yeah. So anyways, that's all. I'm gonna end right there. At least for now. I'm gonna let Joe have some time to share with you.
Yeah, wow, thanks, Ryan. That is so important. I'm really glad you went first, because that you said about most everything.
Oh, I didn't take anything from you, did I? I'm glad you went first, because now I don't have to say anything. No, I was actually anticipating Joe getting to go, because I'm like, Joe's gonna have some great things. So
Well, I don't know. I mean, I would say there's a couple things. There's a couple things that I can talk about here. First thing is to go back and listen to what Ryan has to say, because he's so right. And to watch him grow as a musician, to watch him go through this journey, because I've known him this whole time, and to watch him go through this was just astounding. And I kind of had a front row seat, you know, as he made some of these decisions and decided to do things. And like I remember asking questions as he was coming up to making some of these decisions, or I wasn't ever trying to discourage him from doing what he wanted to do, but I was always just wanting to make sure. I wanted to just poke him in those uncomfortable spots to say, is this where you want to be? Okay. And just so you know, you don't have to do this, but if that's where you want to go, absolutely. So, but I just, yeah. There you have some options. If it's music, I'm gathering that it's music from some of the things that you're talking about in the chat here. Cherry says, I've been thinking my music, but my mom is the same, wanting me to go to college and telling me it's the only way, etc. And then dolls are cute. So okay, so if it's music, here's one thing. When I was in high school, there weren't very many people that were thinking about pursuing music. And so I kind of, just the fact that I got to be a pretty decent player while I was in high school. So I kind of already stood out a little bit as a musician, and that's kind of what people expected of me anyway. Where it's like, oh yeah, Joe's a musician, blah, blah, blah. And so it kind of went in that direction. And so everybody knew I was going to probably major in music. I'd go to college and I'd major in music. And I did. I majored in composition and theory, which just sucked all the joy out of music for me.
Oh man, I can understand.
when I got in, and it just turned into a whole bunch of rules and all this stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm studying. And part of it was I didn't have the right perspective. I wasn't looking at it the right way. Rather than looking at it historically and going, oh my gosh, look at all that I can learn from the people who came before. I just started looking at it as a bunch of rules and like they're just trying to cramp my style. I'm trying to be a musician, I'm trying to be a composer, and they're just shoving all this garbage down my throat. And but I went to college because it was expected of me, I thought, right? That was kind of what I thought. Like this is what everybody I knew expected me to do. And it really led to some rough times. Led to some depression and a nervous breakdown and all kinds of craziness. But it wasn't because they weren't directing me in a good direction. It was just because I felt a conflict of what I wanted to do and what I felt I was expected to do, if that makes sense. And so that inner conflict got to be too great, and it led me to some depression and just a really rough time. So um there's some stuff I've learned along the way. One, when if what I learned, first of all, because I kind of stood out. I was one of the only musicians when I went to high school, right? When I got to college, everybody that I was around was a musician. And so I was just like you feel probably right now. I'm just another one of them. I'm just another person here, another face in the sea of faces, you know, another number in the sea of numbers, of people that are here doing the same thing. And it was weird because I went to Michigan State. I went to a pretty big university. There's a lot of students there.
Mm.
And so it's just enormous. The music department was huge. And we were all there, pursuing performance or composition or whatever, it was amazing. But what Ryan said was so, so important. And that was, if you want, like, no matter what, if you could be in a crowd of all these people that say they want to do the same thing, but if you actually do it, you actually do it with some passion and with some vigor, you are going to stand out because you'll actually be doing it. So here's the thing. If you want to pursue music, do it. And do it well and work hard and try hard and post your stuff at bss.studio and see if there's any collaborations you can do. See if you can start releasing stuff, creating stuff and releasing it. That's key. Ryan's life totally changed as a musician when he began releasing stuff and getting it out to people, getting it out to others, getting it out on YouTube, getting it out to other musicians that he could work with on projects with, and all that. Like that totally changed everything. So my biggest fear was always releasing stuff. I would write stuff and I would hold on to it, and I was so scared of people judging it. I was so scared of people making fun of it. I was so scared of all of that stuff. And I watched Ryan do this. He just started putting stuff out there for people and he didn't care. And I was like, wow, like I admire that so much. I'm like, he has the guts to just put it out there. People might make fun of it. Yeah, they might. People might think it's stupid. Yeah, they might. Who cares? Enough people didn't think it was stupid to the point where now he's got a very nice sized audience on his YouTube channel and on his Spotify streams and everything. There's a great audience there that brings in an income. So if the point of going to college is to get a job so you can get an income, which is kind of what a lot of people that's kind of the route. It's like you got to go to college so you can get a good job, so you can get a degree, so you can get a good job, so you can make some money, so then you can live a good life. And that, yeah, I understand that. I understand that sentiment. So here's something you can ask yourself: if it gets to be a thing where the conflict between you and your mom, who wants you to go to college, gets to be too great, there is stuff you can do in college that relates to music. And one of the things that was so helpful for me and helpful for us as a company
Hmm.
was that I went to college and I studied media technology. I studied audio production. And so I kind of had this background of knowledge in audio production. And I had been in the recording studio a few times. I'd, cut a couple albums and, done stuff like that. Nothing on a major level, but just, local studios and working with audio engineers and stuff like that. And then also going to college and learning audio production. That made a huge difference in what we make now. I
Hmm.
was able to take some of my knowledge and give it to Ryan as he was getting started, and then he took it and like blew me out of the water. He just went and off and like made me look like a fool. But
I don't think so.
I do. And I'm talking. So another person there's another Ryan I know,
Uh,
who is a tremendous bass player. He played bass on a few of my projects that I'd done before, and he's just amazing bass player. He got a degree in communications, and that communications degree that encompasses all those things, like audio production. That was kind of his focus, was audio production, but it encompasses all things like audio, video, radio, broadcasting, all of the different ways to take some kind of information product or entertainment product and get it to the world. That was the gist of his degree. And that has helped him, because now when he's in a band, and he still plays. He still plays, like, I think he probably gigs every weekend. And he has a job that he makes good money at, and he's got a family and stuff. He gets to play and do all that stuff. But anytime his band needs a recording done, do you think they go and pay some highfalutin studio or some engineer, a bunch of money to do it? No, they do it in-house with him, because he has the knowledge and the skill that he learned in college. So it's not a waste to go to college. But make sure that what you're pursuing lines up with what you want to do. And it might not be a direct lineup, but it might be something that can be used in what you're doing, if that makes sense. So that if you want to be a musician, that's one thing to consider, is if there's just this adamant thing about you going to college, you can consider communications, you can consider music, but most of the time, most music majors that go to college end up being band directors. That's just, yeah, if you major in music, that's the path. Either band director or college professor, music professor, something in instructing other musicians. That's where that path generally leads to. Now, some people do performance degrees. I know some people who did performance degrees and got into high level symphonies, you know, that can happen. Um, but depending on what you want to do with music, that's probably a very thin slice. Like that's not. I, I would imagine most people who plan on pursuing music, there's a very small percentage that say, I want to join the symphony somewhere. Now, if that's you, that's a great path to go. Go to college, major in performance. If not, you might consider some other things, and that way you can still go to college. However, one of the things I've learned is that if you're going to college just for a degree so you can get a job, I struggle with that. I've watched a lot of people do that, get a lot of college debt, and be generally unfulfilled with what they're doing. But they did it, you know, and they got a good job and they have a decent income and it's okay and they're thankful and they're blessed and everything. However, there's just kind of a dissatisfaction with it and they've got a lot of student debt and it's hard. If you're going to college to learn, that's great. But you don't necessarily need to go to college to learn. I learn a lot of stuff now. There's a guy, and I'm going to start plugging him because I love it. Creative Sound Lab. You can look him up on YouTube. He's also got a bunch of courses available online that are paid for. And he just came out with a new course, actually, like it's a home studio makeover course, like basically how to take your studio and, you know, things you can do to improve your environment, you know, for what you're creating in your studio. And you know what? As soon as this guy releases a course, I buy it. Like I'm on his email list. I'm one of those guys, you know. I'm like he for this guy, yes, because I've learned so much from his courses. Anytime he releases a new course, I buy it. And usually they're really cheap. He's like, I just released this new course. For now, it's $12 until for the first week while it's out. It's $12 and then it goes up to 50 or whatever, you know. And so I always buy it when it's cheap. but, but I've learned a lot from his YouTube videos and from his courses. And that information is what I'm after. I'm not after a degree. I'm after the knowledge. So if that's the case, if you're just looking for knowledge on how to do stuff, then you can find that knowledge. You don't have to go, you don't have to go to university, you don't have to go to college in order to get the know-how to do these things. I was just saying, you don't got to go to college to get the knowledge. That's a rhyming. uh, oh, wow. You're subscribed already, Cherry. That's awesome. Creative. He's awesome. The guy is so cool and he knows his stuff and he does it for the musician, for the home studio that they don't have a whole lot of money to do a whole bunch of stuff with, you know, they don't have like all the high-end equipment. It's just like you're making do with what you got and how to get the best out of what you have. I love his approach to stuff. But yeah, you can pursue this. You can do it. It's not going to be easy. But at Black Static and Swerve, one of our goals long term is to try and make this road easier.
Mm-hmm.
We want to collaborate. We want to be a place where people can, you know, come together and share their abilities and we can work together on projects and start promoting people and start, you know, doing whatever we can to help people grow. You know, we want to be able to do that. And yeah, so whatever you got, Cherry, share it at bss.studio. We'd love to hear it. And yeah, understand you can do it. It is possible. Others have done it, so you can too. And Ryan is a great example of what it takes, because he just started doing it. He started releasing stuff, and then he started opening up to collaborations. And one of those collaborations set off a tidal wave. And that was the It's Not Like I Like You song. You guys have all heard it, I'm sure.
Yep.
And that turned a whole bunch of stuff. It was cool. It was really cool to watch. But anyway, I've just gone on and spoken ad nauseum. So Ryan, please save everyone from the sound of my voice.
You are saved. I mean, I don't really have anything to add. Thanks, Joe. Thanks. Yeah, Cherry, I wish you the best. If it is music, I don't know if it is, but probably. It seems like it is. So, but yeah, just go for it, man. Of course, when it comes to music, it's kind of like you aren't. If it is music, I don't know, but if it is, then you can't really be another drop in the ocean because everything you put out is going to be different than anybody else. That's just the way music works. Um, and if it is the same as somebody else, then you get sued. So don't do that. Uh, it's just the way music is. Um,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Um, so yeah, I think that there's no reason to be worried about being another, drop in the ocean, as you said, being same as everybody else, pursuing something everybody else is pursuing. Um, because no matter what you do, you're going to be a different person that does it. If
Mhm.
even if everybody else succeeds, but more than likely, if you put your mind to it and you say, I'm going to do it no matter what, whatever it takes, even if I have to be homeless, I'll do this.
Mhm.
Um, then you're going to put yourself in a position where you're actually going to do something that everybody else said they were going to do but never did. Because that's usually what it is to be a musician. You did something you said you said you were going to do when nobody else did.
Mhm.
Um, or to be great at anything, that's really a lot of times what it is.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I mean, we talked a few weeks ago about how um, was it Thomas Edison did the light bulb,
Yeah.
right? And he tried 1,000 times. Um, there were other people who were trying.
Mhm.
He was not the only one who ever tried that. Wasn't the only one who ever tried to create light. He created it because he didn't give up. He said, "You know what? I'm just keep on trying until I get it because it's possible. There's got to be a way. Just gonna keep on trying until I get it."
Yeah, probably nobody else tried as many times as he did.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
it is a lot of times. I mean,
I
that's a
remember
lot of
current
time and a lot of hours to think about.
Yeah.
Think about like you don't have all the tools we have today. He was
Mhm.
trying with raw material that he could find. You know,
Yep.
awesome.
Another inspiring story about all that was that goes along that same vein is Colonel Sanders of KFC.
Oh yeah, KFC. Yeah.
I think he got, you know, boy, it might have been like 900 no's or something
Mm.
before somebody actually decided to buy his recipe for chicken, or whatever, or listen to him or whatever. And he started after he was retirement age.
Yeah. That's why he looks so old. That's how he looked when he started it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He was already collecting Social
Awesome.
Security when he started that process. And then he just kept going. He kept trying. He kept trying. And 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 he kept trying. So if you have that persistence, man, you can do anything. Sorry, Ryan, I
Mhm.
interrupted you.
No, that's great. I didn't have anything to say, so yeah.
Yeah. What random lover of physics in the universe is saying here is really important right now too. I
Yeah.
think this says a lot. I know a
Yeah.
person on YouTube who didn't have any formal science education, but built up a science channel. He liked it so much that he learned all the equations, principles, etc., on his own. That's key
Mm.
because he wanted to do it. He liked it. He liked it so much he figured it out on his own. Now, there's a difference. My mom was a college professor. That was her career. and she was amazing at it. Like, I never took one of her classes, but I sat outside and listened one time because I went to that college. I went to it was Lansing Community College. It's a great place to be. But I sat outside one of her rooms and I listened, and I was just blown away. She loved teaching human anatomy and physiology. That was what she taught. And she was so good at it. She was just alive in that classroom. It was amazing. And she said something. She was like, I've seen a lot of different types of students. And there was one kid who came through the program that just stood out. And it was a great example for her. She said, a lot of people come in and they're like, well, I'm going to join the nursing program because people said that that's what you know, that'd be a good thing for me to do. So I'm going to be in the nursing program and I got to take this to get to the nursing program and da 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 da. And those people that kind of just do things as a duty like that, and they're just like, well, they said I might want to do this because this is where I kind of line up, and I don't know, I'm just doing it. Those people always failed. Or, well, if they didn't fail, they never went very far, right? But then there was a kid that I went to school with. His name was Mike, and he was a great musician. But then something in him, when he got into his when he got into his adulthood, and he was kind of a phase musician. Like he went through the phase of I want to be a rock star, man. I want to be cool. And then something flipped in his brain one time, and he's like, I want to be in the medical field, and I'm going to go into the nursing program. And he had a reason. He had a fire under him, and he wanted to do it. And that desire, that passion, and that vigor drove him through the program, and he aced everything, because he had that. And so a random lover of physics and the universe is saying here, he liked it so much, he learned it all on his own. If you like something that much, you will move heaven and earth to get there. And it'll feel like just a piece of cake, because you'll just have all that fire and energy behind you. So
Hmm.
that can be you in the music world.
Right. And that's very true. No one, I found out about what's, the programs that you make music on. I found out about them entirely on my own. I was like, these exist. I just Googled it randomly one day. And I was like, well, this is cool. Let me get one. And so I got one. It was a free version. It was you couldn't save anything. And so I was like, all right. So then I just started messing around on it. I ended up making stuff. And I was like, this is cool. I ended up taking a third-party program and saying, hey, record anything that goes through my computer right now. And then press play. I'm like, yeah, I figured out how to save this. I used some free software to record some free software trial version. And then I have a file now. And yeah, I mean, and I figured out what everything did in that program just by doing it. And I think that helps so much, because when you want to know something, when you want to learn it, you just go out and do it.
Mhm.
And you learn so much. And you're just like, you know what? You become confident in yourself. And then that confidence drives you and says, you know what? I can do this. And it moves you forward, right? And I think so if you're again, if you want to pursue something, just start doing it. Just start doing it now. Don't wait. You don't need to. You don't need to wait to graduate to start.
Right.
A lot of people go like, oh, after this, I'm going to go to college and then I can start my degree. Then I can start learning about like hardcore physics or hardcore science, math, whatever it is, right? I want to be a writer. I want to, you can start right now. And that's even better, because when you learn on your own and you're searching things up, you're doing your own research, You learn at a different level. You become, how do I say this? When you work for something, you usually take care, like if you work really hard to buy a car, then you get that car, you are really prideful about that car. You take care of it much better than if it was just a car someone gave to you
Mm.
for free. You look at that car and you feel respect for yourself because you know that you worked really hard for it. And the same thing is with for knowledge. If you go and find your knowledge firsthand by taking action, um, you retain that knowledge oftentimes a lot better. You use the knowledge in a different level because when you given knowledge, right? You're given knowledge, and they teach you like, hey, this formula, this is what it does, blah blah blah. Your brain goes, okay, memorized, got it. Okay, now I know how to use that math formula. Okay, done. If you figure out that on your own, if you create that formula from scratch, even though it already exists out in the world, but you realize there's a problem, you're like, wow, I need to create a formula for this. And you make that formula up. Other people have made it up before you. Yeah, you're wasting time because you're just recreating the wheel. But because you make that up, now you know how to integrate that formula and apply it to more logic, right? Now that formula becomes transformable. You go, okay, this is my formula, this is my set formula, but I can transform it easily. I know how to use it in logic better than everybody else because I invented it. And it's second nature to me. I can apply this in many logical ways because in pathways because I discovered it. Not just because I'm the one who discovered it, so I'm the best. No, but because I created that formula from logic within my own brain. I
But
had
you
to
are the
problem
best,
solve
right?
till I got there. No. Okay, whatever. Sometimes. Okay, always. But especially at math. No, not at all. But yeah, so it's the same thing. When you figure it out on your own, a lot of times you're going to be a lot better at applying it and manipulating it and being logical with it. So I don't know. It's just really interesting. Because when you're taught something, you just have basic understanding of like, oh, this is what it is, and you're just like, okay, does that make sense? I hope I'm making sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's
It
kind of
totally does.
weird, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so we've gone down a
Mm-hmm.
few rabbit trails
We've
here
definitely
for you,
derailed.
Terry. And
Yeah. Sorry,
yeah, but
guys.
I mean, all this, you take all this stuff and put it into, these are all just different options and some different ways of looking at your situation here. And you can, one thing to remember is no matter what path you decide to take, you don't have to ditch your destination.
Right.
You have this destination in mind of where you want to go. And there are numerous pathways there.
Right.
So don't let yourself get hung up on, oh my gosh, if I make a wrong path, if I make a wrong decision on my path here, then it's going to change my destination. No, it doesn't. Your end goal is your end goal. And no matter what step you take, you can still make it your end goal. Because no matter what path you take, you will adjust. You will change. You will change direction. You will make an adjustment. You will find out, oh, I'm going a little too far in this direction. I need to course correct and get back toward my destination. Then you move off in the other direction a little too far. And then, oh, I need to course correct. And that's kind of the pathway to our goals is not a straight line. It's like this zigzag of, going in a direction, figuring out, oh, this kind of took me toward there, but I need to make an adjustment and go, back toward it. And that's just how the pathway goes. So no matter what you decide, one of the most important things you can do is actually make a decision
Mm-hmm.
and run after it. because then you have some data that you can use and be like, oh, that was good and it was also bad, so let's get rid of the bad stuff and change direction. Like switch. But that's one thing. I mean, I would be paralyzed by decisions for the longest time, and I try more and more now. Like when I hear about something, I'm gonna try it.
It's amazing.
I'm like, hey, I heard about this thing. It looks like it might do good. We're gonna try it.
Yep.
And get some data.
Yeah. It's impressive. It's seriously impressive.
Everything to Wim Hof method.
Yep. I was just thinking about that one too. That's like the Wim Hof method. Yep. Yeah, but no, it's beyond that. It's all so many things.
Yeah.
Scheduling. Yep. Every part of life. You're very open to just going like, hey, let's adjust this. Let's try this thing out. Let's see what happens when I do this for an extended period of time. All sorts of different stuff. It's impressive. And it's very good. But yeah, I think what you said is really important though, by the way. Because it's true. You set your destination and you say, I'm going to get there no matter what. You don't know what that no matter what's going to be. And you could feel like, oh, I'm sorry, going down the wrong path. I don't want to. No. Every path leads there. And you're going to be taking every path till you get there. Because that's how it's going to feel. It's like, I tried this, I tried that, I tried this. That's just how it's going to feel sometime.
Yep. And just think of everything you try. If you're a gamer, just think of it as XP.
Yeah. It's all just XP.
It's all XP, man. I mean, it's just experience that you can just put back in your back. I mean, seriously. And then you're going to have stories. You're going to be like, oh, yeah, you're going to be faced with something years down the road. And you're going to be like, oh, man, I remember back. Oh, wow. I remember when I handled something similar and we just did this. And then it's going to line things up for you because you had that experience. And you'll be like, oh, no, it's a piece of cake. No.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks so much, Cherry. You're amazing. And thanks for the question. We kind of went on for a long time about that. Hopefully that was helpful. We don't have anyone following up with the next question, do we? It's kind of why we just spent our time on it. Because no one else has chimed in with another topic.
Princess says Random is here. Random has one from back in July.
That's right. Hey, welcome, Random. How are you here? Usually it's sleep time. Are you on holiday? Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Yes. So happy that you're here. It's awesome. If you're cool with it, we can do yours. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. It's called How Do I Pick Myself Up? And it's from back in July. Oh, you missed class accidentally. Oh. Hey.
Oh, that's right. Because it's already class time for you. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, let's do it. Princess already posted it. That means we're doing it.
Okay. Whoops. All right.
Let's see. We are getting towards the later end of the show, so we'll see. We'll see how we do here. But yeah. So feel free to click the link there. It's called "How Do I Pick Myself Up?" By Random Lover of Physics and the Universe. And it goes like this. A lot of hurtful things have happened, continue to happen, and will happen in the future. I feel their effects. Desire to isolate myself, extremely cold and calculated decisions in times of distress, and a fear of not completing tasks in the most perfect way possible, etc. What I want to know is, how do I pick myself back up faster and have better control over my mind and actions, as I have realized that sitting and doing nothing won't change anything. Crying so many times over being hurt so often won't change anything. Yes, that, wow. That is a tough thing because, I've heard a lot of motivational speakers talk about different things like, hey, it's not about how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you pick yourself back up. You get knocked down 99 times, pick yourself up 100 times. It's like that actually doesn't make any sense. But
What kind of math?
what's that?
What kind of math is that?
I know, right?
Yeah, you give them 1, 2. You show them who's better.
You
You
show
pick yourself
another
up
one.
twice when they knock you down once. Go for it, man.
Yeah.
You can figure out how to do that.
But how do you do that though? How do you figure out how to pick yourself back up? How do you let things roll off your back? How do you know what's the process? And I'm so glad that okay, Random says even though I've improved, I feel like this topic is still important. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
It's
think
like
so, buddy.
one of the times you fell on accident. That's great. Um, so yeah, but Ryan, how do you do this? Because I know you've gone through this.
Um, yeah. Okay, so, one thing I wanna say right off the bat here is, Random, if you have some time after the stream ends, I would go back, if you can, and listen to the beginning, the first question we answered.
Mm,
We talked about, quite a few things, but in part, it did have a little bit to do with this, and that is, you know, actually many things. The topic was somebody who was, basically suffering through somebody who was making fun of them,
mm,
and
mhm,
wondering, how do I get back up after that?
mhm,
Because they were feeling down, just wondering what's to pick me up, and how do I not get so effective? How do I not just hate myself? Because a lot of times we just end up like, man, I don't like myself now, you know,
right,
and then it's
right.
harder to pick ourselves up. So I would suggest listening to the first topic, for sure, after the stream if you have the time. That'd be really cool. Um, so yeah, continuing from there. Um, how do you get yourself back up on your feet? I think a lot of times it's just, um, recognizing ourselves, coming to reality, and then just facing it.
Mm,
Um, being real with ourselves, and sometimes we have to do that. I think we have to be forgiving, to be patient with ourselves, because none of us are perfect.
mhm.
And so when we fail or we get knocked down, whether by ourselves or by someone else, I think we just have to, not let not let not let the darkness get the best of us. And how do you
Mhm.
do that? So there's a couple of things you can do. Um, one, obviously, when you feel like the last thing you want to do is compliment yourself, or, um, be kind to yourself, you know, then you certainly need to do that. Um, perception. Here's the thing: we all have habits. Perception is a habit, how we perceive the world around us.
Mhm.
The more often we do something, the more it becomes a habit. And the same thing is true about picking ourselves up, about how we treat ourselves, about how we treat the world around us, how we see the world around us. Um, I feel like most of the time I don't have to pick myself up, because the way I see the world, I almost never get knocked down, right? Because what is being knocked down? Is it, because it can be anything for anybody. Some people, when they stumble and they fall into a snow pile, that wrecks their day, and they're
Mm.
just like, man, I had an awful day today, so far. And then they're down. They just not physically, they're physically down because they landed in the snow, but they're down, like, mentally, like they have a mental down, like they just, they can't even anymore, right? For some people, they stumble a little bit, they fall into the snowbank, and it's like, okay, oh well, no big deal. That happens. And they move on with their life, and they forget it. They forget it even happened. Like, someone will bring it up to later in the day and be like, hey, you remember you fell in the snow earlier this morning? That was funny. And they're like, I did? I don't remember that. So, like, they don't make a big deal out of it, right? So if we can make less of a deal out of the issues, we can make it a whole lot easier for ourselves to get back up.
Mhm.
If you make it a big deal when you fall into a snowbank and other people are looking because you feel embarrassed, if you make that a big deal, it's going to be really hard to get up, mentally speaking. But if you don't really care, it's just like something that happened, like it's like dropping a pencil. It's like sneezing. It just happens sometimes. Sometimes you cough. Sometimes you sneeze. Sometimes you burp. Sometimes you use your nose and you smell things like pot pie, and you're like, "Wow, that pot pie smells good."
Mhm.
It's just another thing, right? These are all on equal levels. Falling in the snowbank, smelling some pot pie. It's like the same thing. You're gonna forget about it in 2 minutes. If you can put things on that level, right? When it comes to bad stuff, just kind of dismiss them in your mind. If it's negative, it's bad. If it's something that brings you down, I'm not saying throw it away and try to run from it. I'm not saying dismiss it like that. Not like running away from your problems type of dismiss. But kind of like just putting it down and being like, it's not a big deal. If we can say it's not a big deal to all the bad things and then hype up the good things, then your mind will concentrate more so on the good things in life, and it will be easier to pick yourself up when you get knocked down because you'll see all the good around you, and how can you not get back up when you see it? It's like when you're motivated to do something, you're just motivated. And the reason you're motivated is because you see something good in that, something that is desirable, something you like, something joyful, right? And so if you spend more time focusing on the good things and making those a big deal, you're going to create a subconscious habit of always lifting up the good things and bringing to mind the good things, the important things, and making sure that your mind knows, hey, good things are important. Bad things that knocked me down, right? Not really important. They aren't doing anything for me. They're just slowing me down. So doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna throw them to the wayside, right? If you just if you practice that, you're gonna form the habit of either A, you just like never get knocked down, or B, you get knocked down, you get back up without even thinking about it. Because your habits are always just right in line with, and your perception is right in line with, oh, I got knocked down. I'll just back up. I'll just get back up. No big deal. Easy peasy. Um, because you're not making a big deal out of it, right? The
Mhm.
problem a lot of times is we make a big deal out of it.
Mhm.
We go, oh no, I'm crushed. I can't believe this happened. And the more we dwell on that, the more we sit ourselves in that position, the longer and harder it is to get up. So you just got to create a habit of getting up. But it's not just a habit of getting up because you got knocked down and then getting up because you got knocked down. It's creating a habit of looking at the world and admiring and lifting up those things which are positive,
Mhm.
which are good in the world. And then the bad, letting it just kind of fade away and be like, I'm not going to focus on the bad because what's the point of that? I think that's the main thing that I can share with you. Um, and I know you're capable of doing that. Everyone's capable of doing that. And you're probably already on the way of doing that. So if I can encourage you to continue doing that, um, you'll find yourself in that position. So uh, sooner than expected, because it
Mhm.
doesn't. It seems like it would take years to develop that. It doesn't.
Mhm.
Um, it only takes a month, maybe a few months, if you work hard at that. um, Lift up the positive things, make the positive things a big deal,
Mhm.
and make the good things in life a big deal, especially in other people. You look at another person, you're like, wow, they have so much going for them. This is great. I love this part of them. This is wonderful. And then the bad things, don't mind them. You don't even need to look at them. If you see something bad, just go, yeah, but who cares? Like, they've got this awesome thing. Every time, anytime you see, like, sense that sort of negativity, focusing on the bad rather than the good, you just put the bad down and show it something good, right? You're like, hey, bad side, check out this good thing. Yeah, and this is what I'm gonna focus on now instead.
Mhm.
But anyways, I'm gonna move it over to Joe.
I'm gonna use what you said.
Okay.
I'm gonna start implementing that actually because I haven't heard it put that way before, and I really
Oh,
like that. Is that yeah, I especially like the part about making the good things a big deal, and then like the bad
Mm,
things not a big deal. Like, celebrate those good things,
mm.
and then the bad things just whatever. They're just things, whatever.
Yeah. It takes
Um,
focus and self control to do that, right?
yeah, oh
And that's
yeah,
something you
yeah.
develop. But yeah,
That's that is a skill that, yeah, that absolutely. And I'm gonna start trying to implement that. I think that's gonna be
see,
really cool.
Joe's amazing. He just said like the last topic. He was talking about how he just tries things. I'm gonna try that, and he really
Yeah.
will. I know Joe will actually try this. It's amazing.
Hey, no point in lip service, right?
Hmm.
Um, but there are two things with this random that come to mind in this situation. Two things that held me back for the longest time, and when I heard these, they were game changers for me. Absolute game changers in this regard, with exactly what you're talking about. One was when I heard a person who, like, I mean, I'm a melancholy personality. I'm very detail oriented, very, task oriented, very non-people oriented. I'm very just, and also because of that detail oriented, I tend to be a little bit negative, pessimistic a lot of times, and I beat myself up over wrong decisions, like you said in here. You don't complete a task in the most perfect way possible,
Hmm.
it's a problem. And man, anytime I got something wrong, that was a problem. Anytime I made a mistake, that was a problem. And I would be down in the dumps over it. And I remember hearing this person speak from a stage one time, and they were a sanguine, which is like the life of the party, fun, man. Woohoo! Like, hey, let's have a good time. I don't know what's going on, but I don't care. This is gonna be fun. And I remember them saying, they were talking about someone like me. And it's like, man, when they make a mistake, it's like the world just ended. And they're like, whoa. I'm like, that's me, totally. This guy's up there on stage. He's like, when I make a mistake, I'm just like, oh well. Big deal. And I was like, I remember seeing that. I'm like, you can do that?
Right.
Like you can just throw it up, throw your hands up in the air and go like, no big deal, whatever. It was like, yeah, I made a mistake. I was like, oh, that was an absolute game changer. When I heard that, and I was like, when I make a mistake or I mess something up or somebody does something to me that's wrong, like I can just go, oh well.
Yep, you certainly can.
Move on, and I was like, oh my gosh. And that started a change. The thing that really the thing that took it to the next level, because that helped me out a lot for years. And then very recently, part of this was some of what Ryan was talking about. Some I learned from actually one place I learned this was they have these examination of conscience things that for you to read and go through and pray about. I'm Catholic, so one of the sacraments is going to confession, and um, before you do that, you examine your conscience. And one of the things that said in here was, remember that this what you're doing here is you're separating yourself from your sin. You are not your sin. And you don't have to use the word sin. You can use the word mistake. You can use the word problem. You can use the word, whatever, because it doesn't matter if it's sinful or not. It could just be something going on where you make a mistake or you have a problem or somebody does something to you, right? The key is you are not that thing. And that was something that had haunted me, and I didn't even know about it. I didn't even really know how to pinpoint it, but it had haunted me forever. Like my mistakes, I would identify with them because they were mine, and I'd be like, "Oh my god, it's part of me." Or somebody does something to me, and now that's a part of me. Like that hurt me, and this hurt, So now it's a part of me, and now I would identify with all my problems. But reading this one little thing, and Ryan has always been a huge proponent of this kind of thing, where he's like, you are valuable. You are not those things that have happened to you. You are not those things that you've done that are wrong. You are you, and you're infinitely valuable. And these things that happened, they're just things that happened. They're separate from you. And that made the biggest impact, where it was like, oh, just because I did something, that doesn't mean that I am that. Because really, that was the reason I would be down in the dumps for so long, was because I would totally identify with it. And I'd just be, this is me and I'm horrible. I'm just this failure. And man, if you knew my track record, you probably wouldn't listen to me.
Yeah, that's why I don't share all the details. Yeah.
But actually you might, because you'd realize, this guy's messed up a lot of stuff. So he's got great experience with messing things up and trying to get through it. And but that's that, when I figured that out, and I was like, oh, the whole thing I'm trying to do is separate myself from the event that happened. Whether it was me that did it or somebody else that did it that hurt me or something, I would tie myself up in it. And I would be it. But that's a lie. I learned I could separate myself from the thing. And when that happened, it got a lot easier to go, oh, well, no big deal, because it's not. And like Ryan said, the bad things, big deal. Push them off to the side. Who cares? Get back up, keep moving forward. And here's another thing. When you have a goal, it smooths these out tremendously. When you're focused on your goal and what you're trying to do, you don't have time to get bogged down in that kind of stuff. What they say, a dog in the hunt never knows it has fleas. A dog that's pursuing prey or hunting for something doesn't realize that it has fleas, doesn't realize all those little problems. Champions in sporting events will do things, it'll do amazing things with injuries, with illnesses, and all that kind of stuff, because they just are focused on the goal at the end. So what?
You ever climb a tree? You ever climb a tree?
Yeah.
You bark on it and you get it to the top and you sit there for a while. You're like, man, I made it up. And like 17 minutes later, you're like, where are all these scratches and cuts from? Like literally, like that one goes right down my hand. It's bleeding. Like what happened?
Yep.
So, yeah, you're right. I mean, the goal really makes your mind not focus so much on the bad. You can just like, I gotta just keep on going. I'm just trying to solve the problem here. What do I do next? That didn't work. Okay, go on. What is it? What's the answer?
Yep. What's the next thing? Yeah, absolutely. Random says, in the several months after I posted this topic, I struggled with that a lot. I'm a failure. I suck. I'm not able to have fun learning because of this, etc. Only recently have I realized otherwise. Yeah, that's so. It's amazing how little moments, can change our perspective a little bit, and that can make all the difference. So those are some things I'd encourage you in. It's just, remember that you are not the bad thing. It's not you. You're separate, and you can let go of it. And just, if you need to picture some goofy guy going, oh, well, because that's what I would do. I still picture that guy. It was hilarious.
I know the guy you're talking about too.
Yeah.
I remember him. It's awesome.
He was tremendous.
Yes, he
I
was.
totally forgot
I
his
don't
name,
remember
but
his name.
he does the DISC personality
Yes.
method.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
love that guy though. He was
Robert
awesome.
Rome, maybe? Was it Robert Rome? I'm
Dude,
gonna look it
I
up
think you
actually.
might be
SC.
that's impressive. I'm seriously impressed. I don't even know how. I'm you might be right, man.
Somebody's gonna find it.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I believe it's Robert Rome. I don't know. I'm looking it up.
Hmm. Either way,
So yeah.
yeah. Um, so thanks for the topic. Hopefully some of that helps you. Obviously there's a lot of different things we kind of crammed into that, but um you can get there. You can pick yourself up a lot faster. Um, it's just a matter of, sometimes it's not just going through it. A lot of times people a lot of times we talk about like, you just have to go through it and then you'll learn from it. But sometimes you actually have to focus on learning from it.
Mm,
Sometimes you go, okay,
mhm,
what can I do to make this work better? What can I do to start forming habits in this area? And so then when you set that aside and then you start taking action on that, things start improving like multiple times faster because then you're actually you're going through your experiences so that you can learn. Um, I remember going through like being in a position when I talked about this last stream we did, where it's
mhm,
like, you know, please just give me problems. Just give me problems because I want to grow. I don't care what the problems are, just throw them at me because I know that's my ticket to growth. So whenever I see a problem, whenever I encounter a problem, whatever it is, it's just like, okay, cool, growth session. Here we go. Let's go. Let's take it on. Because I know what's at the end of it and I don't care about the trial. I just trying to get, that next piece of information, that next spot of growth. And it's really similar to, picking yourself up. You know, when you get knocked down, it's not always just about getting back up. Sometimes it's about what do you need to do, um, not so that you won't get knocked down again, but what was the reason you got knocked down? Focus on that, figure it out, and be like, okay, I see. I'm learning from this. Okay, now I can just get up and go forward. I think that would be my last bit of advice there is sometimes that's what we need to do. We need to be knocked down
mhm,
in order to examine the reality that's going on around us, find the bit of wisdom. And then here's the thing, I'll tell you what, if you ever get knocked down and you study it and you find a nugget of wisdom, you're like, wow, I just learned something. You've already picked yourself up. At that moment where you figure something out, at that moment when wisdom hits you from whatever just happened, you find yourself standing. And you're like, I feel good. I feel really good.
mhm,
And that's because now you've made something out of falling. And now no longer can you see it as falling, as being down in the dumps, because you've already solved the problem. You've already solved it and made it into something good once
mhm,
again. And you can celebrate the good and drive that forward. So sometimes it's okay to be knocked down. Remember
mhm,
that. It's okay to be down. I think a lot of times it's like you don't want to because we're told, pick yourself up as fast as possible. And it's okay. No, it's okay to be knocked down. It's okay to be down because a lot of times that's where we do some of our deepest learning.
mhm.
Um, because it's not till you go down deep that you can search through the deep.
Yep.
Sometimes you have to
And
get knocked down there to really study it, to really get there, get down and dirty with the deep to learn something really deep and profound and wise.
mhm.
So yeah.
And it may take some time to unpack all the lessons involved in that getting
Mm,
knocked
yeah.
down. So that's another thing, like to go along with what Ryan is saying. It's you don't necessarily need to be discouraged when you're down there because it's okay to be unpacking it and to be trying to figure it out and to be, you know, but yeah.
Hmm.
So
Awesome.
random did something like that today, turned something that would normally be very bad into something good by changing my mindset. Great.
Awesome. Yes.
you're
Right
on a
on.
roll. And so yeah, do it up. So I posted
That's
the
a good
guy's
start.
name, Robert Rome. That's the guy who did the oh well.
Yeah. I can't believe you just pulled that out. You know, you're like, I don't remember his name. It's like what, Robert Rome? Like, how? How do you do this, man? I can't. You have a memory way beyond my own. I'm impressed.
Yep.
Anyways, yeah, what do you say we wrap this up then?
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. You've been awesome.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. You guys are amazingly wonderful. And I can't wait till next week because we're going to get to see you again.
Mm-hmm.
All of you come back and bring your friends. Because if you
That
thought
would be great.
this Wednesday was good, you just wait till next week.
Yeah. And then you'll be glad. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad they're here. This is their issue. Yeah. Yeah. You bring them back.
Yep. They're going to be like, oh, what they're talking about. I hope they're listening.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Are they
listen to
hearing
this.
this right now? Are they hearing this? That'll help them so much.
Yep. So to all of you who came, thank you. To everyone who posted in the chat or posted on the website and had a topic for us, thank you so much. For anyone who's just lurking and listening, man, we love you and thank you for being here as well. And you know, anytime you're ready to jump in the conversation, you just go ahead and do it. Special thanks to Princess for being our chat room hostess. Special thanks to Jesse staying up late and producing us and not hitting the button that ends the world. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Yes.
And yes, so all of you who are here, you're amazing. And just remember, if you got some kind of issue, there is an answer. Sometimes you just got to take a little bit of time and find it. Sometimes you got to look at things a little differently. You know, hopefully some of the things we've said have helped. And yeah, we love you guys. We wish you all the best. Go to bss.studio and we'll see you next time. Don't worry Wednesday.
Awesome. See you guys
Take
there.
care, you guys.
Bye-bye. Peace.